Origin Gents, welcome to Suji Reaction. This is when a Panzer slaying pilot shot a friendly. Okay, this is my channel Yarnhub. Yes, this is a new Yarnhub video. Yarnhub's quality has gone way up recently. I mean, even before they were making animations like how Simple History and other channels make it, right? And which is great. But now it's like even better with the more of modern engines and effects, right? And how apparently they have like a big team that they're making, I don't know, video games now or something, which is like, yeah, makes sense. Because their how sound merges with the cinematics that they're trying to create is really good, right? You can really pick it up when you watch it. Like, why is this good? Oh, because of this. It's like it's all perfect. So yeah, it makes sense. They're gonna make games like, I don't know, like War Thunder or something. We'll see how that goes. I hope that that's something good, because whenever a history guy makes some game like that, it's gonna be awesome, I guess. So yeah, let's do this one.
It's July 1944, and Major Charles Carpenter is returning from a spotting mission in Normandy in his Piper AL-4 Grasshopper. As soon as he lands, an order comes in to immediately drive to the front lines and scout for an airstrip.
Copy that.
His yet unnamed fighting Grasshopper, with bazookas strapped under its wings, will have to wait for a taste of combat. In a jeep, Carpenter speeds through the French countryside, as close to the front line as he can. Coming round a bend near Avranches, he spots a platoon of 5 M4 Sherman tanks. They're in full reverse, all the while under heavy fire.
Okay, seriously, in military, people used to like ride around in jeeps like that. Jeeps basically had no suspension. I mean, if you ride that jeep now, your back's gonna hurt when you go home, right? Even if you're a small portholes here and there. In war, like they didn't have any smooth roads. How did their back survive, man? I get it, like war is like really strong and like really fucked up and all that. Like this is barely, like this barely registers as an issue because they're getting shot at and all that. But still, they're human. How did their back survive? I'm guessing like a lot of people had back issues because of Jeep. I don't know.
Carpenter frowns. He'd been flying above this countryside for days and hadn't seen any German force large enough to push back the Americans. Carpenter guns the accelerator to get closer. The Germans have control of a nearby town and have the Americans pinned. The US forces are in disarray as 88mm rounds slam into their positions. Carpenter brakes sharply and the jeep skids to a halt. He runs towards the tanks and into a ditch. He's not alone. Taking cover, US infantry are already there.
What's going on?
The soldier explains that they tried to take the bridge going into the town, but were met with an overwhelming German response.
There's hundreds of them. That can't be right. It's got to be a German trick.
Spurred into action, Carpenter waits for an explosion. Then immediately jumps out of the ditch, heading for the lead Sherman, climbs on top and gets hold of its 50 cal machine gun, loading it, ready to fight. The tank commander yells at Carpenter.
What the hell are you doing?
Carpenter shows his wings and explains he's been flying over the position.
You know what? When I walk around where there are skyscrapers around, right? I'm concerned a lot of the time. Like, what if something falls on me? And I'm like, what the fuck? That's my feeling while walking around skyscrapers. This guy, okay, if the artillery fire happen, I guess I have a like reload time or whatever. Runs towards the Sherman tank, but clearly bullets are flying. Like any bullet can shoot him dead right there. Jumps to the machine gun. Levels of balls this requires, like I can't even process. I'm trying to think about it. Okay, I won't be able to do that. That's insane.
Positions and knows that the Germans can be beaten.
I'm sure there's not that many. Let's go.
No way, flyboy. We're not going anywhere.
You either move or I'm gonna shoot you.
The commander weighs up his choices. Shot by Germans or Carpenter.
Oh, hell. Let's go.
He makes a decision and the Sherman tank roars to life and pushes towards the bridge. The other tanks follow with Carpenter on the 50 cal in the lead.
Ricochet, keep moving. Push forward.
As they approach the bridge, MG-42s strike up, peppering the American tanks. Carpenter immediately returns fire with his 50 caliber. The tank commander shouts out the bearing to the gunner. Carpenter feels a jolt as the tank's turret moves underneath him. Inside, the gunner brings a machine gun nest into the center of his gun sight.
On the way! Fire!
The Germans quickly abandoned their position just moments before a 75mm shell hits the machine gun nest and explodes, turning it into a crater. At such close range, Carpenter is hit by the blast, and the wind is taken.
I mean, you can't outrun a coming shell. I mean, obviously they're gonna try. That's insane. The tank fear was real, man. Right? Whenever tank turret just suddenly moves towards you, holy shit.
From him. But mustering his strength, he gets on the 50 cal, forcing the German machine gunners to take cover. They peer out to fire back, but are met by the Sherman's 75mm cannon turning towards them. The gunner presses the firing switch, and a high explosive shell is propelled out of the 75mm gun.
Hell yeah, that did it. Load it up. Get another shell in the breach.
Carpenter lets the Browning sing as the 5 Shermans roll onto the bridge.
Forward to the town.
Carpenter feels the thrill of the heat of battle and is shouting orders to the tank crew. He assumes a position of platoon commander, and the tanks obey his orders. Rounding a corner with a shell at the ready, Carpenter yells,
Let her go.
The Sherman fires, and the shell strikes a building at the end of the street. With the tanks rapidly approaching, the Germans have no choice but to abandon the cannons.
Clear. Keep moving.
Under the command of Carpenter, the American forces...
You know what? This is so fucked up. Like riding around town like that. Like anybody can be behind any building with any anti-tank mine or anything like that, and they just throw at you. This shit is intense. Too many people would have been on roll like that, but a lot of them probably died. So imagine that, like last moment like that, right? Like you're just like adrenaline is flying high because you're getting shit done, right? You feel invincible. I can do anything, and some basic simple thing can just take you out. That's the brutality of war, isn't it? This is fucked up.
Sweep through the town.
Hear those abandoned guns. You got it, Major.
They find the 88mm guns abandoned by their crews.
Tanks, spread out.
The town isn't completely clear though, and Carpenter is
Sweep the
driven.
outskirts. Make sure no enemies are lurking.
He leads the Sherman around the outskirts and spots a tank in the field ahead, and doesn't hesitate.
Tank, fire.
But as soon as the words leave his mouth, they turn to ash, as he sees the target he spotted is an American Sherman tank. He starts to shout, but before he can speak, the gun beneath him fires. There's lead in Carpenter's stomach as the shell flies across the air towards a friendly tank. A Sherman bulldozer tank with a plow attached to the front is hit. The shell hits the demining plow, and with incredible luck, causes no damage to the crew.
I like how we get out. What the fuck was that? What the fuck?
The battle draws to an end, and as the adrenaline starts to subside and the realization sets in that he shot a friendly, Charles's mood darkens. The platoon commander
Okay, that shit was so intense. Man, I love that. People say, like, you know, whenever like you are in this kind of moment, time doesn't really slow down, it speeds up, or at least that's how you remember it. So later on, remember, when he's remembering all this shit and just sitting there, it must be like a blur, like it's suddenly happening. And so a pit in the stomach would start, like, what the fuck, I nearly killed one of our own.
spotting Carpenter, orders his men to arrest him.
Fool. You could have gotten us all killed.
He's brought back from the front lines and placed in a military prison. Awaiting trial for a court-martial, Charles is told that he could face the firing squad. But instead of being shot, Charles earned a Silver Star under the direct...
Exactly, man. I get it. He made a mistake, but come on, man. All the shit he did, he was a protagonist by, he just saved the day. I get it. He made a mistake in the end, but yeah, nobody died.
recommendation of General Patton, who said that Carpenter was the type of soldier that he wanted in his army. In September, Charles is flying on the outskirts of Aracourt. His humble spotter plane now has considerably increased its firepower, with 6 rockets attached under its wings. Charles has christened his plane with a name more befitting its firepower, Rosie the Rocketer. The radio is flooded with reports of German counterattacks. An entire Panzer division and 2 Panzer brigades are pushing forward and overwhelming the Allied positions. But Charles can't see any of it underneath heavy fog.
Clear up a little.
Finally, a hole in the mist appears, revealing a column of German Panthers advancing directly towards Allied headquarters. He can even see Americans hiding in a river as the enemy advance looms forth. He immediately jumps into action and plunges from the sky, headed straight down towards the lead Panther, aiming for its thin roof armor. The Grasshopper is almost vertical as he reaches for his firing switches. Rapidly approaching the ground, he flicks 2 of them. 2 rockets fire off the tubes. They power into the earth right next to the lead Panther with 2 thunderous explosions before Carpenter pulls up from his dive, right above their heads. He looks back. It's a miss.
Es ist einer von diesen verrückten Spähern mit Raketen.
The Germans raise their small arms and open fire at Carpenter's L4.
Crazy spotter.
Bullets whiz past his canopy, and a couple of holes are punched through the wings, but they do little against Rosie the Rocketeer's fabric construction. On the ground, stranded Americans are surprised by the explosions, and they have a front seat view as they watch the spotter plane turning back for another rocket run. But this time, the Germans are ready. They take cover behind their armor and open fire upon Carpenter. Bullets crack all around and more holes are punched through his plane, but he's undeterred, jinking left and right as much as he can to throw off the Germans' aim as he barrels down towards them. He flicks 2 more switches. The 2.3-inch high-explosive anti-tank rockets fire off their tubes and directly towards the Panther, slamming into its roof. The tank immediately starts to smoke. The crew inside know they're done and quickly exit the tank just as flames surge out of the hatches. That's 1 down, but there's a lot more to go. Carpenter pulls Rosie around in a turn for 1 more run and instantly faces a deluge of bullets. More holes appear in his wings as he sets his sights on a half-track.
Okay, I don't know if this is this completely accurate? Like he was wearing a baseball cap or something. Wouldn't it be like good to like wear a helmet in situation like this? Because okay, if you get shot somewhere else, you can still maybe go on. If you get shot at head, like you're probably done. Same reason why people wear helmets in like in the ground, right? So if bullets are gonna fly towards you, isn't it better to wear a helmet?
Track, with enemy fire pinging all the while on Rosie's fuselage. Charles feels a patter of impact, but he has faith in Rosie.
Come on, old girl.
Takes aim and fires. The half-track explodes into a ball of flame. Watching from the distance, the stranded Americans quietly celebrate the heroic Grasshopper, but Charlie is forced to fly off.
Okay, isn't it more sensible to go back to base when this shit is going on? Because if plane gets shot down and like Panzer division is just there, they would just walk towards you at the. Maybe that's their job, right? Like stay there and like wait for tanks to come or something. But still, like once they're like alert, isn't it best to go back to base?
Out of ammunition. He makes it back to base, and he and Rosie return with a full load of rockets. On the ground, the American soldiers are amazed as they see Rosie coming back into the fight. Charles fires at a half-track that goes up in flames. Then, a second Panther.
Damn, he's lighting up.
Panther! He's got another Panther!
I rarely put my head above water, but my name is David Webb, and I'm the narrator and head of Yarnhub. If you think our films are important and you'd like to see us move into gaming, then until June, you can invest in us and become a shareholder in Yarnhub. Click the link in the description to find out more. The once terrified men that were hiding in the river now excitedly tally the victories as Charles fires the last of his rockets into the Germans. And is forced to fly off again, but even more rockets. Carpenter rearms a second time. Now more of the fog is cleared and enemy movements are starting to become visible. He can see Panzer IVs stalking up behind 4 US M18 Hellcats.
Damn.
In a rush, he dives into the attack, flying above the Hellcats as he goes. He hurriedly takes aim and fires off 4 rockets into the formation of Germans.
What is he? Enemy behind us. Turn around.
Carpenter smiles to himself as he sees the Hellcats turning their turrets as he flies off and the battle kicks off underneath him. Thanks to Charles' actions, the Hellcat platoon spotted the surprise attack and the German column was stopped in its tracks. Later that evening,
Or why did the Panzer division even thought that they would surprise them? Didn't they think like maybe there's like a bird in the sky which would spot us? I guess it's a gamble every time. I don't know. Maybe it won't spot us. Maybe like woods are like really thick or some shit. Like I guess they play gamble. I don't know.
the 6 American soldiers Charles had saved slipped into the dark and returned to safety, where they gave a full account of what they saw that day. The engagement earned him the nickname that he carried for the rest of his life, Bazooka Charlie.
Oh, look at
The
that.
plane was lost at the end of the war, being sold off as surplus.
I like how animations are so good, they're literally lifelike, right? Like he does that in every latest videos, where he puts an actual picture that looks just like the animation.
That was until 2017 when Joe Shale, an aviation enthusiast, found that Rosie the Rocketer still existed, hanging from a ceiling in an Austrian aviation museum in civilian colours. The museum had no idea that in their collection was the most famous Al-4 Grasshopper of them all. The Collins Foundation acquired the plane and set out to restore it to its wartime glory. The now fully flight-worthy Al-4 even has its original paint job and is on display in the American Heritage Museum. The Rosie the Rocketer nose arc was completed by Major Charles Carpenter's granddaughter.
Charlie saved our behinds, but it was still not an easy fight. Watch this film and see what happened after he flew away.
Oh, it's the same battle. I love this, man. I love how he's tying all the battles in. Man, this felt like Factoryson story. That's how badass this guy was. I guess one day Factoryson will make a video about this. Man, this was awesome, right? Him almost getting like court-martial and worse, to like awarded medal, which he should, to I guess having a second run with the plane, just destroying Panzers left and right where people just watch. This is badass, man. Right, well, that was when a Panzer slaying pilot shot a friendly, Yarnhub. One mistake, right? But adrenaline was high. I mean, it happens. If you like more, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.